Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to a special episode of Game Time here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I am your host, John Rocha, John the Outlaw Rocha, as you can tell by the picture behind me. I'm coming today because I felt I had to. I run a YouTube channel that puts numerous videos up about many different things: entertainment, films, television, pro wrestling, politics now, and sports. And Game Time has been one of my favorite shows to do here on the channel. Winston and Jay joining me every Monday, or mostly every Monday, to talk about what's going on in the world of sports. And over the last few weeks, it's been a really powerful episodes that we've had talking about the COVID situation, and then talking about certainly Black Lives Matter and the protests that have been happening in the NBA and numerous other leagues throughout the world, not just here in the United States, but throughout the world, to protest inherent racism, systemic racism occurring in our world, in our institutions and organizations. Sorry, you're getting me right now completely unshaven, unwashed. Woke up this morning. I'm just, I barely got 5 hours. I feel these things deep in my soul. These are causes I have fought against for many years since I was a child. And so I take things like this very personally and very deeply, and react to them emotionally. And they expose a lot of my vulnerability, because I am just so tired of seeing this over and over and over again. And I'm in a place of complete and utter frustration, at times anger, at times hopelessness. That's really a big, powerful feeling that seems to come over me as we deal with this stuff, because you start to see in the newspaper, in the media, these people coming out, and in the message boards coming out and always talking about, well, we need to see the full story. We need to know what really happened. And then we see bullshit like the New York Post coming out and saying that Jacob Blake had a knife in his car, so that warranted 7 police bullets entering his body. Things like that. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I do want to say the reason I'm doing this this morning is to have conversations with you all about this. I know that Winston and Jay are going to be doing their own show at 12 p.m., a town hall meeting, 12 p.m. PT. Please do that. Please go and participate in that. Blurs in the Hood, they will be there doing that. I will stop by for a little bit with them as well. But I wanted to do something here on Game Time. This is my show for my channel, to talk about this with you all. So many of you all watch our show on Monday and enjoy our conversations. I did not want to ask Jay and Winston to be on here because of the fact that they've already got something there going on. But I wanted to open it up the floor for everybody. So I just want to give a little bit of detail about what happened last night. Some of you may know, some of you may not know the full details. So I just want to get into everything, and then we'll start taking questions and talking with you all live. The link, I put up the link already. If you want to scroll up in the chat and see the link, come on in if you want to get in the waiting room or whatever. And this is not about, certain people get it. No, this is about everybody. So if you want to talk about it, and even if you're against the idea, even if you're a person who's like, no, I support the police, come in and talk. Let's have a conversation. That's what we need to have in this country more, is conversations and understanding. And that's what I hope we are heading towards, and every generation is pushing us towards resolution and conversation and compromise and understanding, irregardless of the vocal, angry, small dick minority that wants to unsettle the process with their infantile bullshit. There is intelligent people of all races who understand the problem here, the systemic problem here that is occurring in our world, that is affecting everything in our world. This ignorant, idiotic point of view that somehow, willfully ignorant, by the way, sports has nothing to do with politics, is one of the most boneheaded, blind points of view you can have. Politics and sports have always gone hand in hand. Social justice issues and sports have always gone hand in hand. The idea of women being able to play sports is a social justice issue. The idea of black men and women being allowed to participate in all white sports that were traditional in this country for many years is a human issue, a political issue, a social justice issue. Tommy Smith and those gentlemen at the Olympics in 1968, I think it was, holding their fists aloft, that's a social justice issue mixed in with sports. Free agency, Curt Flood, a black player, was the one who initiated the idea of free agency because he saw what was happening with players and owners as being tantamount to plantation owners and slavery. So there has always been social justice, human issues involved in sports, and there always will be. From the dearth of black head coaches, dearth of black owners, the dearth of black front office people in numerous leagues in this country, the idea that certain organizations feel that they can just have an old boys network and it's totally fine. Certain areas of the country who are absolutely revolting against the idea of having a black head coach at their university or a coach of color at their university. That kind of stuff is what you see. So don't tell me there isn't politics in sports when there always has been. Social justice politics in sports and racism in sports. So the same people who tell you, don't pollute my sports with your politics, or don't pollute my sports with your social justice stuff, are the same people who get upset when a black head coach is in contention to be the coach of their university, their alma mater, their team. And that's the stuff that is a brick in the wall of the racism that is going on in our world and in sports. So let me give you a little bit of background. Last night, the Milwaukee Bucks decided not to take the floor for Game 5 of their first round playoff series against the Magic. By the way, they were up 3-1. They were within their rights to play that game, wipe out the Magic, move on to the second round, set up a second round series. But they chose not to go on to the court. They chose to strike/boycott that game. They did not tell any of the other NBA players that they were going to do this. In fact, the Orlando Magic were out on the court, warming up, shooting, getting ready to play the game. The four referees were out there as well. They were preparing. They had pulled out the game balls. They were ready for the game to go. And then the Milwaukee Bucks stepped back and decided to strike/boycott this situation and not play. And I want to give you a little bit of background on this because Ramona Shelburne wrote a fantastic article about it here on ESPN. If you haven't read it yet, you should find your way to it sometime today to give you a bunch of background on what was going on. Milwaukee's coaches went through the pregame media session. Brooke Lopez and Eric Bledsoe were among the players who warmed up on the court, but shortly before the Game 5 tip-off, which was set at 4 p.m. ET, 1 p.m. Pacific time, the Bucks had a change of heart and decided not to play. They intended to sacrifice a playoff game only to have their opponent, the league, and players and teams from sports leagues around the country join them in solidarity, and we'll get to that in just a second. But they didn't know what to expect. They were kind of jumping out there on a high wire without any kind of net. They didn't know how people were going to react, what was going to happen, and what would go down. Well, the NBA, when they saw this, got the message and decided to postpone the playoff games, all the playoff games last night from their league. And this sparked a reaction across the sports world. MLB, some of the MLB games were postponed, including one involving the Dodgers. Mookie Betts went to the Dodgers and said, I don't feel comfortable playing. MLS games were all canceled last night. WNBA games were all canceled last night. And one of the players of the Atlanta Dream came forward. You know, the players that have that terrible owner, Kelly Loeffler, that senator from Georgia, who's corrupt as fuck. One of the players from the Atlanta Dream stepped forward and delivered a fantastic speech. You haven't watched that, you should watch that, in solidarity for the protest that the NBA players were having last night, the Milwaukee Bucks, and then the rest of the NBA had last night. The one league that didn't is the NHL, a traditionally white league, a traditionally white only players league, a traditionally white owned league, a traditionally white run league, and yes, Canadian as well, but mostly American now, with a few occasional Russians and players from across overseas, but generally mostly white, maybe 95 to 98% white. They decided to have all their playoff games last night, which did cause some backlash amongst some of their players and former players of color. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But this was all happening. I want to give you a little bit of background about what was inside the locker room. The Bucks players were on a Zoom call with Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes and Attorney General Josh Karl, which had been facilitated by team owner Mark Lazary and Senior Vice President Alex Lazary. Mandela Barnes said they just wanted to know what they could do. I mean, they were very interested in the call to action. They wanted something tangible that they could do in the short and long term. They wanted the walkout to be step one. So Barnes says that she told them, Mandela told them to push for action at every level of government. They could pressure state lawmakers to vote on the police reform bill that Democratic Governor Tony Evers proposed 2 months ago, but has gone without response from the Republican-held state assembly. Right. Because that is the division now. And that's what we're seeing in the politics now, right? Republicans, Trump, all of them, police, yes. They do nothing wrong. The other side, we just want to look at this, reform it, and make some changes here so that there is equality. But some people don't want to look at these situations. They don't want to look at these police departments and make some changes. I think we all know we need law enforcement in this country. We all agree with that. What we need, though, is law enforcement that is equal and fair, that understands how the responsibility of the badge they wear, that is better trained, that isn't just coming off 3 months of training and they're put out into the field with a weapon by their side. 2 years of training max. And here's the hidden ugly truth that no one wants to say, and it's the truth. Some people don't choose to be police officers. Some people have no other avenue, so they go into becoming a police officer because they have no other job they can find. Or some people enter the police force so they can access their worst impulses with a weapon by their side. And that's the truth. And it's an unfortunate truth, but that's the truth. And there are also good people who go into the police force, who want to do well for their communities, who want to help the people around them, who want to protect business owners, protect people who are protesting, protect them all. They understand that as American citizens, they have a right to protest in the streets, and the anger that's coming from the systemic decades, centuries of racism that Black people have endured in this country, people of color have endured in this country. So that's the mix you're dealing with. But when did it become a crime to analyze something, realize what works and what doesn't work, and make some changes? You do it for yourself in your life. Does that mean you think you are evil, or that you shouldn't exist, or that you don't belong? No. Same thing with police departments or anything. If you take a look at it, or any institution, if you take a look at it and you see that the roots, the foundation are inherently racist, then you have to make the changes. And if it means weeding out the knuckle draggers, then you weed them out. If it means weeding out white supremacists, then you weed them out. If it means weeding out the people who are using these opportunities to enforce their, how can I say this correctly? Their unaddressed issues with women, issues with race, issues with people who are different than them, you get them out as well. You have to have level-headed, strong, intelligent people who are willing to administer law enforcement correctly equally and fairly. And what we saw here with Jacob Blake, what we saw in this video, what we saw in these pictures, what we saw from so many here. If look at this right here. This is he had supposedly broken up a fight between two women. He was going to his car. The police had asked him to stop, and then they pursue him as he opens the door to his car. That policeman, that lead policeman you see there, who they just identified this morning, grabs him by the tail end of his shirt and then administers 7 bullets. 7 bullets into the back of this gentleman. 7 bullets. What can you not accomplish with 1 bullet that you need to accomplish with 7 at that close range? That's anger. That's fear. That's an overdeveloped sense of justice with a weapon by his side. And the NBA players had seen enough. Already, it was a tenuous situation in the bubble because players went into this bubble needing to play to make money to support their family. A lot of players, not everyone's LeBron James. So a lot of these players were going in to make money so they could support their family, support their lifestyles, do whatever. But you had heard the bubblings up every once in a while in interviews that they were saying, we feel like we might not be doing the right thing because we feel we might be taking away attention from these social issues. Remember, this was all right after the explosion of the BLM movement and how many people were posting about it. And then they were done with for a few days, and then boom, they didn't talk about it anymore. Didn't bring it up in their social media, didn't talk about it on their videos, on their YouTube channels or on their websites. They didn't say anything about it. And they just put it up for a little while, and then they were done with it. And it took this once more. It took something like this to finally break this situation that was going on in the bubble. And now, according to, as I said, Ramona Shelburne's article here, they went behind the scenes, had a conversation, had a meeting, the players did. Let me see if I can get to where the players see where it was going here. But a lot of the players came forward and spoke about this. In fact, while I look this up, why don't we listen to LeBron James talking about this situation and his frustration at what he saw.
If you're sitting here telling me that there was no way to subdue that gentleman, or detain him, or to just before the firing of guns, then you sitting here, you lying to not only me, you lying to every African American, every Black person in the community, because we see it over and over and over. There was multiple, if you watch the video, there was multiple moments where if they wanted to, they could have tackled him, they could have grabbed him. You know, they could have done that. And why does it always have to get to a point where we see the guns firing and his family is there, the kids are there, it's in broad daylight, and who knows? I mean, if that video is not being taken by that person across the street, do we even know if we even see that video? It's just quite frankly, it's just in our community. And us, I know people get tired of hearing me say it, but we are scared as Black people in America. Black men, Black women, Black kids, we are terrified.
That's important to note there. We are terrified. Yeah, you may be saying to yourself, it's LeBron James. What's he got to worry about? And you're probably right. It's LeBron James. What does he have to worry about? But how many police officers know who LeBron James's kids are? How many police officers know them by name? How many police officers might be in a situation where they let their worst impulses get the best of them, and they have a shooting or commit a shooting against one of LeBron James's kids? He doesn't know that. That's where he's coming from. That's what he's feeling. And also people he knows who've been affected by this kind of stuff in their community growing up. So many Black players can talk about their experiences. One of the Bucks players was tased a year and a half ago by a police officer in an arrest. Now, some people, I see you in the chat, you're all talking about, oh, he had a knife in the car, or oh, he's a convicted sexual assaulter, blah, 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 blah. None of that fucking matters. This idea of victim blaming is one of the most insidiously stupid things you can do. Yes, he may have had a record, but that does not mean you shoot a guy in the back 7 times. They wrestled him to the ground and he got away. Yes, he did. If that's true, they wrestled him to the ground and they got away. But you have a weapon, a gun. You can comfortably stand 20 feet away from this gentleman and be okay. If he had a fucking bazooka in his car, you had 7 fucking cops around him. 4 to 7 cops around him. So easily, you go around that car, you grab him, 4 of you subdue him. Why are the weapons out? Why are the weapons out? Why are the guns drawn? He has no weapon on him. Why are the guns drawn? That's the question you ask yourself. I thought these were men. And here they are using weapons because they're afraid. Because all the weights they lift, all the workouts they do, they still get into a situation like this. And their fear, their possible racism takes them over and they commit a heinous act like this. And thank God Jacob is still alive. I don't know what condition he's going to be in. But this is so frustrating to watch happen. And I think the players did an incredible job boycotting the games, stepping forward. And now they had this meeting last night after what happened with the Bucks. It was apparently a contentious meeting, an emotional meeting. Some of the NBA players felt blindsided by what the Bucks did because the Bucks did not consult any of them, including the Orlando Magic. So there were some heated exchanges about that. According to Ramona Shelbourne, the players organized a meeting Wednesday night to discuss everything. All 13 remaining teams were invited. Those who attended called it emotional and chaotic, but also felt it was historic to have so many players and coaches gathered debating such important issues. Andre Iguodala of the Miami Heat, formerly of the Golden State Warriors, he explained that societal change must come through political action, which can often be tedious. Yes, so many of us want change overnight. It takes time. How many of them, he asked, were aware that California was set to vote on a landmark police reform bill on Friday? Yeah, that's happening this Friday. How many of them were even registered to vote, he asked. The union had data suggesting that number was extremely low. See, this is a important thing too. This isn't just stop this from happening. This is what are you doing to stop it from happening? And if the number of NBA players who are registered to vote is low, that needs to change as well. You as a player are an example for your community. For everybody who watches and follows, you have to take the responsibility of the mantle to do that because you've been blessed with the ability to play at the highest level of a profession. And so if you're not registered to vote, you need to get registered to vote. That's for damn sure. John Lucas, Houston Rockets assistant coach John Lucas, gave a stirring speech about how far players had come since the time he'd played in the NBA. He said, "This is your moment." He encouraged the players to speak to Commissioner Adam Silver and the owners. Now, the league's owners had committed to contributing $300 million over the next 10 years to a foundation that would create economic opportunity and empowerment in the Black community. But without missing a beat, of course, the owners came forward and said, well, how come the players aren't contributing to this fund? Why aren't the players putting in to this fund? And then one owner actually said, what is it that they think the league can do? Owners are powerful members of their community, their cities, their states. They can influence politicians to look at things. They can influence politicians to pass laws, to pass regulations, to pass, maybe even sign orders that delve into this systemic racism that's there in some of these police departments across the country. They can force, but they don't want to. Why? Because they might go against their friends, their other rich white friends, or hell, rich friends. I've seen over the last few days already at the Republican National Convention, people of color coming forward and defending someone like Trump and his stance on these kinds of things. By the way, our president has not spoken one word about the shooting. Not one word about the shooting. Doc Rivers and Chris Paul apparently came together, and their relationship has been frayed since Chris Paul was ignominiously dumped from the Clippers. But they came together like they had during the Donald Sterling situation, and they both weighed in on this. And Rivers told the players on Wednesday night, "Your talent is your power." He encouraged them to come away from the meeting with 3 clear items the league can help them act upon. Things like police reform and accountability, voter registration, and support. He called on players Paul called on the players to come away with a unified front with plans of action and a clear understanding of the financial perils that might await the players and league if the season does not proceed to finish. And this is something important to consider as well. Yes, the calls, apparently the Lakers and the Clippers voted to strike and voted to cancel the season. And the Lakers and Clippers, who are basically considered to be finals contenders and odds-on favorites to win the championship, the NBA championship this year, them stepping forward, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Anthony Davis, those 2 team leaders on each of those teams coming forward, and the rest of the Lakers and Clippers saying, yes, cancel the season, is very powerful. However, some of the other players contradicted them and said they didn't want to cancel the season, that they wanted to play the season. And this may be why. NBAPA Executive Director, National Basketball Players Association Executive Director Michelle Roberts and Senior Counsel Ron Klempler, both of whom were on site in Orlando for Wednesday's meeting, explained that if the players decide not to play the remainder of the season, they could lose 25 to 30% of their salary for next year. The league could also terminate the collective bargaining agreement and lock out the players while terms of a new CBA are negotiated under the economic and societal duress of the pandemic. So, and all of this was covered apparently before the league came back during this whole COVID shutdown for a while. This was all talked about and covered, especially after Rudy Gobert and the positive COVID test and all of that happened. Avery Bradley and Union Vice President Kyrie Irving had led a movement to suspend the rest of the season so the league wouldn't distract from the social justice movement and protests that swept the nation following the killing of George Floyd by Minneapolis police. But ultimately, the players did decide to play. But now, here's the situation. Some players are pushing back because they're asking other players, if you leave, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to the front lines? Or are you going to just go to your family, hang out, and you're fine because you've made enough money and you're cool to survive one set of playoffs or missing one set of playoffs? See, that's the question now, and it becomes an internal battle. That's why this issue is so complex and so layered. It's not just black and white about one thing to do, one thing not to do. It is this situation that, okay, if we boycott or we strike, what's the financial ramifications for those of us who are not LeBron James or Anthony Davis or Kawhi Leonard or Paul George or Chris Paul or James Harden or these higher level players who are getting paid great contracts? What's the relief for us? And also, if we're willing to risk financial issues or problems or go into a little bit of financial difficulty, you better be stepping forward and going to the front lines and protesting and calling out the police and confronting police leaders and confronting politicians and stepping forward against these politicians that are refusing to look at and recognize what is happening with the systemic racism in these institutions. And again, I'm not saying these institutions should not exist. I want this very clear. Systemic racism, you want to root it out because you're supposed to protect and to serve. To serve. Not to protect and to intimidate. Not to protect and to lord over. Not to protect and to abuse your power. To protect and to serve. That's the motto. I have had many positive interactions with police officers growing up, and I'm a person of color. I've also had a couple of really unsettling situations come up with police officers. My friend, who is the city manager, who was the city manager of Charlottesville, Virginia, when all that stuff went down a few years ago, twice he has told me about incidents where he has been pulled over and his life has been threatened, or he has felt threatened simply because he was black. That happens. DWB is a real thing. All of this needs to be brought into the light so we can confront it, accept it, deal with it, change it, and move on. Some of you have sent in, I think one of you sent in a super chat. The super chat and the Streamlabs are open if you want to send in questions. Maybe you don't want to come in live. I did put the link in, but I'll put the link in now again if you want to come in live and let's have some conversations in this hour that we have. I don't want to go into the SEN live hour time. So here is the link. Come in live. I'm going to put it here in the chat. I don't think I have any mods who are helping me right now, so I'm kind of having to do it myself. So there it is. There is the link right there. It's a StreamYard link, so come in live if you want to ask any questions and have a conversation with me about it. And like I said, even if you are 1,000% supporting the police, come and have a conversation with me about it. Let me see. I thought I had a super chat that came through and I just missed it, but it isn't here on the Streamlabs. No, I don't see it. So I might have missed it when it came through, and unfortunately it's not showing up here on the Streamlabs address. So yeah, you see the Streamlabs address right there below if you want to send something in or super chat. So let's have this conversation. And let's get into things here. I do want to hit one last thing, and I want you all to watch this video because this video broke me in half the other day. Doc Rivers addressing this situation right after the game. That's all we're asking, for you to live up to the Constitution for everybody and everyone. You know, when we saw that, Alexander Hamilton blew up on our screens a few weeks ago with a Disney Plus. And we saw these white men who wrote the Constitution, the founding fathers. It's what we call ourselves as a playful joke in the Schmodown. But in real life, these founding fathers owned slaves. These founding fathers, like Thomas Jefferson, didn't have the guts to release their slaves all the way up until their death in their 80s because they couldn't financially survive without them. And yet they said in the Constitution that they want equality, life, liberty, and the pursuit. Every American, it's their right for life. Life is the number one thing. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm so tired. I mean, for years, I've been seeing this. I was taking off videos at Collider Videos sometimes because, Rocha, you're talking about race too much and things. You're bringing it up too much. Some of those toxic fans would call me John Rocha because I would bring up the idea. I was trying to get people to see that this stuff is insidiously inherent, not just in our police department, in our entertainment, in our sports leagues, in our politics, in our businesses, in our lives. There was an Obama video. He'd come out with a video, a Netflix thing, and they asked me not to be on the trailer reaction. Well, we think people are going to get upset and put a lot of dislikes on you, so we don't want you to talk about it on this video because it's bad for our channel. I was actually told that. When I went to my Latino head of Collider, and I sat in with him, and I said to him, hey, you're doing FYC for your consideration, a movie review show, and you have 3 white critics on that show. You hired me, a Latino, a minority, a person of color. You gave me a full-time job. You let me review movies. You let me talk about trailer reactions. I should be on the show. Well, it's about meritocracy. And I go, I respect that. You're a Latino. How could you not want a person of color on that show? Nothing against Perry or Snyder or Mance. But if you don't help, if you don't assist, if you don't give opportunity to elevate, what are you doing? All your talk about, hey, we're going to stand here. We're going to we stand with Black Lives Matter. And your entire writing staff is white. Guess what? You're not standing with Black Lives Matter. If your entire full-time staff is white, you're part of the problem. Your words in your articles mean dick if your actions don't support them. Everybody is responsible for it. It's why I work hard on my channel to have diverse voices. Alex Shawshak of Asian descent, Winston and Jay, Laura Kelly, Dorina Arellano. These are the things I'm trying to do. Outlaw Nation show, bringing in Danny Fernandez, bringing in Jay Washington, bringing in so many people to come and talk with us. My channel reflects my worldview. Your channel, your site reflects your worldview. That's important. The messages you send. And when you come down to sports, the same thing. The messages you send. If you have a predominantly black workforce, but you have a predominantly white ownership, predominantly white front office throughout the league, what are you saying? Black people are good enough to play, but they ain't smart enough to run shit. That's the message. The subtle message you are sending. And not so subtle sometimes if you're really looking for it. Diversity is not, hey, I have a white one of these and a white one of these and a white one of these. Diversity is, I have people of color mixed in. That's diversity. That's change. Some people want to see it. Some people don't. Let's go to some of these super chats. There was one that was sent. I missed it. I know Corey Cameron. I know you sent it before. I missed it. I'm sorry. It was something about training, how you need to be trained. You need more training for the police. And I agree with you. 1,000%. There needs to be more training. Let's see here. John Mitchell just donated. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Very kind of you. Josh Peterson, he said, love the work you do, Rocha, and your voice. We need to celebrate and raise up our differences, not hate and tear down. Please. Yes, Josh. Absolutely agree. Like I said, that's why I like my channel to reflect that. Multiple points of view from different walks of life, different ages, different life experiences. Because we can all look at something and get something completely different from it. And we are all better and more educated and more well-rounded when we hear other people's points of views on it. And criticizing something is not tearing something down and burning it to the ground. Criticizing something is saying, hey, I like what you do. I want to change some of the worser aspects of what you do so you can be better at what you do. Delonte West. Oh, all right. Black lives do matter, of course, but the BLM organization are the biggest hypocrites around. Racism is a part of human nature. Unfortunately, it will never change. Well, with that attitude, it won't change. And you calling out organizations and calling them hypocrites and blah, blah, but offering no other option, then you are part of the problem too. Giving up, being lazy, sitting back on your ass and just living in a world where you do nothing about it, you are part of the problem, pal. So say all your crap that you want to say. But if you're not willing to step up, then step out. And you gain nothing from this comment. Absolutely nothing. It'll never change, so fuck it. Nothing was changed by people like you. The world was changed by people who said, I don't believe nothing will change. I'm going to fight until some kind of change happens. I got some Streamlabs, and I'll get into some live people here in just a second. Deflated Brady said a white dude murdered 2 people, and police thanked him for his help, and he drove home out of state and wasn't arrested until the next day. New York Post shows him cleaning graffiti. Blake got shot 7 times. New York Post says he had a knife. makes me sick. Yes, that tweet was posted earlier today. I saw that. I was going to put it on the show today, but I didn't get a chance to copy it and put it up. I don't think. Yeah, I don't have the tweet up. But yeah, the New York Post. But hey, the New York Post is a conservative owned rag mag, and so they're going to play their politics through their reporting. No fucking surprise. Yeah, they showed him cleaning off graffiti, but there's no proof that he was actually cleaning. It's just him cleaning a wall. Who knows what he's cleaning? But yeah, the gentleman you're talking about, Kyle Rittenhouse, there he is right there. 17-year-old kid drove in from Illinois, shot 2 protesters dead last night, shot one guy who's going to lose his arm. And the police gave him water. The police gave other protesters water. Not protesters, sorry, other people who were there with fully armed with rifles and weapons who were supposedly protecting property. Who asked these fuckers to drive in from out of state to protect these businesses? No one. No one asked them. They do it because they're hopped up on that indoctrination from white supremacists, from Nazi websites, from websites that promote hating people of color, promote hating women, promote hating people who are different than you. And they buy into the fear because they're so impressionable at that young age. They buy into the fear that these people who constitute a massive 10% of the country are coming in to take stuff from the 90% of you who stomp all over the land that we live in. It is that stupid mentality that something is being taken from them by people of color that allows them to jump out. And you know who doesn't pay the price for this rhetoric? Politicians. Yeah, they might lose their race or whatever. They lose their seat. They go right back to their comfortable homes, making their money, spewing their vile rhetoric, and living off that because they can twist and manipulate a base to believe in that crap. Tucker Carlson last night, I don't even want to play that video. He defended this piece of shit. He defended it. To me, you shoot 2 people dead like that, that's execution. That's lethal injection to me. That's murder. Murder. 17, I don't care. You got balls enough to carry a fucking rifle and kill, then you got balls enough to die for it. It's that simple. It's no question in my mind. And some asshat who's just trying to make money off your rage, and that's Tucker Carlson, who shouldn't be taken seriously about anything he says for a second. But he should be punished for it, for sure, because 4 million people watch his show, and they get influenced to believe the rhetoric and the hateful speech he spews as truth. That clown doesn't believe a word of what he's saying. Neither does Hannity. Neither did O'Brien. Neither does Tammy, Lauren, whatever her name is. Neither do any of them. They're all talking heads making money off inciting rage because that rage doesn't come back on them. Nobody shows up at their house and shoots them or their family, and I would not support that in any way, shape, or form. But they escape any punishment for their rhetoric. It's the people on the ground who suffer, the people of color, the white kids who are influenced to commit violence and then get put in jail and have to suffer being put in jail. The ones that actually do get convicted. Those are the people that suffer, not the people who spew the rhetoric. Just like Trump. When it's all over, Trump's going to fly away in his golden helicopter into his golden tower and laugh at us fighting in the streets. Giggle his fat, idiotic ass off with 6 Big Macs in his mouth while we fight each other in the street. And this is what the NBA players are protesting. This is what the WNBA players protested last night. The MLB players, the MLS players, much love to them, but not the NHL. Every other league canceled games last night. I know some games went off with the MLB, and Texas Rangers and all that, but mostly their games, some of those games were canceled. But the NHL didn't cancel games. And that's important to note. A white league and a predominantly white league, player front office ownership did not cancel any of their games last night. All right, let's bring in some people here to talk with us. And I apologize if you all feel I'm getting a little too flying off the handle a little bit. My heart's just broken, man. I'm trying not to cry. I'm just so proud. I appreciate you, Saul. Thank you so much. I do what I can for my race. I always have, and I love my race. I respect my race. And that's why I hate self-hating Latinos who own outlets and don't understand their responsibility. Self-hating Latinos who changed their name when they were children because they were ashamed of their Latino heritage. Tim Sim said, among several people I follow online, I'm definitely seeing those who love them using their platform to speak out and those who are angry and want them to remain gladiators for their entertainment. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Tim. Much love to you, brother, man. Delonte, what do you got? What's your opinion on the oppression in China that the media constantly turns a blind eye to? LeBron and the NBA are so against oppression of races, but when the Chinese are involved, it's all hushed. You're absolutely right, Delonte. I think so, too. What Daryl Morey got shit for, the NBA is a little bit of a hypocrite as well because there's so much money in China for them. So I agree with you, Delonte. I'm not hypocritical on this. Across the board, there is some shit going down in China, and to stop the NBA players from speaking about it because they could lose some money or lose money in their pockets is wrong. And Daryl Morey paying the price for telling the truth there, that's wrong as well. Haskell, he said, Haskell, John, I support BLM and its slogan, which to me is different than supporting the organization, which its site says get rid of cops, the nuclear family, etc. Yet I'm attacked, told I'm blind. Am I wrong? I don't know. You can support BLM and not support the organization. That's your right as an American citizen. What you get told by other people, that's their opinion. It doesn't have to affect you. I don't know if you're blind, my man. They don't think the site says get rid of cops. What the site says is get rid of the bad cops. They want to defund the police so they can reconstruct the police in a new way. That's what people forget. It isn't defund the police and fuck it, let's just all police ourselves. It's defund the police so we can construct a new police force that is not racist, that is not misogynistic, that is not sexist, that understands the responsibility of that badge. That the badge doesn't give you a right to shoot people in the back 7 times or put your knee on the neck of a man for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. That's what that is. ZB says, keep that fire burning, man. This message needs to keep being said. I do my best, man. I appreciate it, ZB. Thank you. Stizzy's house, you doing humanity proud on behalf of Jaleel, Jamar, Jemiah, Kalisa, and Sebastian. We need more real talk like this. As a black man, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I do have to hit one stream lab that came in. Kyle Beckworth. John, proud patron and love you, bro. Sorry you had to put up with that at Collider. Keep up the great work. Yeah. That's just the tip of the iceberg that I had to put up with at Collider. I never signed their severance package. I never got my final severance check because they offered me 2 weeks after 3 years of being there. And in the agreement to get my 2 weeks of severance, I had to sign a paper that said I could never say anything negative about Collider or about anybody who worked at Collider. And I was like, fuck you. Fuck you to death. I will never sign anything like that shuts my mouth up from telling the truth about my experience there and the racism and the ageism I experienced while I was working there. Being told by their number 2 guy, and he was their number 2 guy, I want to get rid of all you old guys and bring in young women to host all the shows. That's how we'll get ratings. Bringing in these young women who are attractive and hot. That's how we're going to raise the views. You guys can be producers. You guys just shouldn't be hosting shows. Yeah, that's what we were told. And look who got fired in the first wave or let go. Look who didn't get a goodbye party. Look who didn't get a thank you. You know, I got ridiculous texts from the clown who couldn't do it to us face to face saying, hey, we should grab lunch sometime. 3 years I worked at that place. He never once asked me to go to lunch. 3 years. I put hours upon hours trying to build up that channel, build up content, handle his sports stuff, all of that. He never once asked me to lunch. Now, when he clumsily lets me go and doesn't have the guts or the balls or los cajones to do it face to face, now he wants to go to lunch. Fuck that clown. All right. Let's move on to some people want to talk to us. Yo, Corey, what's up, dude?
What's up, John? What's up,
doing?
Man? I know you going through it right now, but keep up the work. But the reason I want to come in is I just want to teach people some stuff about the police force.
Yeah.
And the history of the police force. See, what people have to understand is the police force was created to retain and bring back slaves to their owners. So it's not that they're doing their job wrong. They're doing the job they was created for. But the problem is now that everything is starting to change, people aren't going to sit with that no more. And you need to learn the history of what. So after Reconstruction, they used the police force to throw black people in jail because when black people started getting their businesses, they didn't want them doing that. So they will find any reason to throw you in jail, or you were jaywalking. Let's throw them in jail. That's where jaywalking came from. So what people need to understand is the police, the system of police is doing their job. When people say defund the police, that means change the system of what this police force was created for. Because the fact that Dylan Roos can murder 9 people and they find out a way to arrest him without killing him, that's a terrorist. He killed 9 people, left 1 alive to tell him what happened. But he doesn't get killed. But a man, when they say he had a knife, no, he didn't. The knife was in his car. And so what? You can have a knife in your car. You shot him before he even got to the car. What are you talking about?
Corey, I'll go you one better. If he had a knife on his person and 4 cops with guns were there, it's irrelevant. You can subdue him even if he has a knife because you've got 3 other cops who are there with guns drawn. So even if he had a knife on his person, I still don't think lethal reaction is the correct reaction.
And the big thing is they weren't even there for him.
Yeah,
he was there because he was called to stop a fight between some people he knew. So why is he the one getting attacked and being harassed? It's the same thing that happened in New York. Because I'm from Wisconsin, so we've been trying to tell people this all the time that Wisconsin is one of the it is around the top 2 places of racist city in America. Because it's so segregated, where a big majority of black people live in Milwaukee, but in these other places like Kenosha, it's only 9,000 black people that live there, but they make up the majority of the prison population. So I moved to Chicago, and it's still like people just need to understand you can't ask black people to fix a problem we didn't create.
Yeah,
we didn't create racism. Why do you keep asking us to fix the problem that you're creating?
Yeah.
So that's all I want to talk about. And I'm just like, man, thank you, John, because I'm always in your chat messing with Jay and stuff like that. And
I love it, man.
Like you're a good man. You're a good guy.
Thank you, Corey. Work, man. I appreciate it, brother. It's good talking to you. Well, I want to address one thing before I let you go. You're absolutely right. You're 1,000% right. To ask black people to fix something or to keep swallowing their words, to keep dealing with it, we have finally hit that point where enough is enough. Where NBA players are protesting. I'm hearing NFL players are considering the possibility of sitting out games. See, Pete Carroll said that yesterday, that he wouldn't be surprised if some players decided to sit out in protest. And only now, when the financial implications are being made clear to Roger Goodell, is he all of a sudden going, oh, we were wrong about this, or we really screwed it up with cap. And even he tries to spin it in the white way of spinning it. We invited him to come to us, and he didn't come. You fucked him over. Why does he have to come to you? Bro, you get on your hands and knees, and you crawl over there and ask for forgiveness from this man who you unfairly vilified and blackballed in him trying to keep his career going. Those are those kinds of things, man.
Just one last thing.
It's always the black man that has to work harder than the white man to achieve compromise, and that's bullshit.
You've never said anything more true. I just want to say one more thing, just before I head out. All we're asking for is equality.
That's it.
Black people, let's be honest. If anything, the white America should be thankful that we're not actually burning this place down. Because all we're asking for is equality. The fact that my last name every day reminds me of the slave owners that owned me and my ancestors. I don't know my history.
Yeah.
All I know is I have to live every day with a last name that shows me that this person, probably one of these old politicians, used to own my family. And when Jay Washington bring up his last name, that Washington, which lets you know that how he freed his slaves, bullshit. But Jay last name lets him know that he was owned by the first president of this country. So the fact that all we ask for is equality, you should be thankful that's all black people are asking for, and we not upturning this entire country.
I don't disagree with you, man. And when you do have the riot, and when the riots happen, people get so see, and it's like, bro, you motherfuckers have a Sopranos finale that has a black frame, and you want to set the fucking world on fire. So what would you feel like if you were enduring the systemic racism? I mean, if black cops were shooting white people like this in the street, white people at this level putting their knees on their neck, this problem would be solved over fucking night. If black people started to become members of the NRA in large numbers, the NRA would cease to exist and move to a whole new thing and become a completely new organization and limit the amount of people of color that could join them. That's the thing. That's the inherent truth about this system and about this country sometimes. And once again, I love my fucking country. My parents worked hard to come over as immigrants to this country. They assimilated to this country, and they raised me as a proud Latino and a proud American. And what I'm talking about is fixing this country so we can be what we always tell ourselves we are, and we can be this beacon of light and truth and hope. And as Corey Scott Johnson just said, equality that we seem to think we are, but we are not. And we need to be mature enough to handle the fact that, yes, we've made centuries of mistakes, and recognize those mistakes and say, I'm not going to make those mistakes anymore. Just like you do as a human being. In my 20s, I made a lot of fuck ups, and I'm in my 40s. I'm not going to fuck up like I did in my 20s. And I learned from those mistakes, and I'm a better person. We can be a better country learning from our mistakes and not repeating them.
Well, John, I'm still in my 20s, so I'm still fucking up, but y'all let me get out of there.
All right. Much love, man. Thanks for stopping in, brother.
See you.
Peace. All right. That was Corey Scott Johnson, one of my favorite guys who comes in here, leaves comments, busts Jay's balls like crazy. But, we all can have fun. We all can ball bust. We all can make jokes. But we all also can recognize the seriousness of a situation like this and how much it can affect us, how much it's affected generations of our family. Certainly, Corey Scott Johnson, I'm sure, has had and heard stories from family members of different generations and different times and the racism they endured. We're not that far away, people, from that countertop in the 60s. We're not that far away. It's only 60 years ago. Someone who was born then, on the first year that happened, is only 60 years old now. Let that sink in. What's up, man? Philosopher King, what's going down, dude? What do you got?
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for having me on. I'm doing great. I really appreciate the show too. I appreciate that you're doing this and addressing these issues because, I watch all your shows quite often, and it's like nice, you're feeling what we're all feeling. This is a crazy moment. Yeah. In American history, and it's like, we all need some way to have a release about it. I kind of wanted to talk about my thoughts on what the NBA and the NBA players should do, because I think it's kind of a complicated thing, and that's why you see, like you were talking about, a lot of players still want to play. Yeah, and there's been some discussion about whether or not the fact that the Lakers and the Clippers voted to cancel the season or do a strike on the season, that was sort of a political move, because there's this talk that the players told, at first it was the players and the coaches having a discussion, then the players asked the coaches to leave, then they had their own discussion privately. Because
some of the players felt that other players would not be open about whether they want to continue with the season in front of their coaches. You're correct. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so, the thing is, and the reason why there's this sort of, I wouldn't say conflict, but their interest is to play the game still, because that gives them economic leverage, which allows you to do stuff, politically. Yeah. So if they don't play games, that's money that they're going to lose, and they can use that money to create social and political change.
Yes.
It's already hard enough to be black, period. And if you're some of the most well-off black people in the country and you're depriving yourselves of economic resources, that's not good. Yeah. But I think they need to come up with a list of three things that they really care about, that they're calling for in the short term, and then maybe some long-term things. We know the long-term things would be we need to have change in terms of police brutality, and these are the These are the actionable things that need to be taken, especially in these areas like, Wisconsin, Minnesota, where we see these things happen a lot. They just keep happening over and over because it's a systemic issue within the police.
Yeah.
In these places.
Yeah. Yeah. And not just, but I mean, I hear what you're saying too. And what's your name, man?
Oh, my name's Ibrahim.
Ibrahim, what you're saying is absolutely correct, Ibrahim. But also, white people need to step forward and take responsibility here. And we've seen, I've never seen so many white people in sports and in positions of power and executives and owners step forward. Not all of them, right? But there have been more that have stepped forward during this time than I've ever seen when protests like this have happened in the numerous decades before. We're seeing like the Bucks, the son of the owner, step forward. I think he's an executive VP on the team. He stepped forward to support his players, say how proud he was of our guys for taking this step. But it's those people that are going to enact the change. Like always, civil rights didn't happen in the 60s until white people saw Bull or Moose, whatever his fucking name is, turning hoses on black people who were peacefully protesting in the streets in the South. It wasn't until they saw that they changed. Like always, video changes your mind. LeBron says in that clip I played, right? What if there hadn't been video on this? How many people would really be reacting like this? The video changes everything. And there's so much more of that coming out now, Ibrahim, that I'm very happy to see in terms of the fact that people are finally understanding how deep this inherent racism or systemic racism goes in some of these police departments, how deep it goes and how much change there really needs to happen. And this fear, the shooting and these guys running out at 17 years old with rifles, that's fear because change is coming. And when change is coming, the worst parts of the people who are trying to hold on to the last vestiges of their ability to step or to knee on your throat, react
literally
in violent manners. Yeah, literally. Exactly.
I really like that you brought up that guy who turned the hoses because, I mean, look, we all know what's happening this year, right? We're all coming to the cataclysm.
His name. Bull Connor. Sorry, go ahead.
And didn't Trump quote him?
Yes.
Recently? Yeah, he quoted this guy.
Yep.
This guy, he quoted him. So, I mean, it couldn't be more stark. Look, there's going to be an election this year. And this is what's at stake.
Yep.
It's really crazy that, and what's his name? The coach for the Clippers talked about Doc Rivers.
Yep.
He talked about watching the RNC and just like the fear. Yeah. And they talk about, in Biden's America, there'll be riots. In Biden's America, there'll be racial What's happening right now?
Yeah, exactly.
In Trump's America, the streets are on fire because the president does not care. Like you talked about Charlottesville. Charlottesville was one of the most insane things that's happened in a long time in this country. Yep. And that was because they felt emboldened.
Yes.
They felt Trump has emboldened me to come out and take the white sheets and robes out of my closet and be out in the open about it.
Right, because I didn't know there were so many more of them still around that felt like me. Wow, we can be together and do this and go out there. Last I checked, the oath is to protect this country from enemies foreign and domestic. If you're a white supremacist, which means you want to eradicate people of color from this country, American citizens of color, you are a domestic terrorist.
You're
if
a terrorist.
A Nazi in this country, you're a domestic terrorist. This whole freedom of speech and accepting people's points of views, absolutely, when it leads to equality, when it leads to a compromise and connection and moving us forward as a country. This idea that we have to put up with seeing people wearing Nazi face masks, fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that.
And I'm in a position. I think I'm at this place now where I'm not against people who are white. I have a majority of friends who are white. My girlfriends have white. I'm not against that. What I'm against is people who are for white supremacy. People who are for white power and nothing else. Or people who spew that bullshit, all lives matter, that's gaslighting the Black Lives Matter situation or Blue Lives Matter. Of course they matter, but you don't catch them being killed at the levels that black people are being killed. And they're trying to twist narratives all the time to make it seem as if black people are making it, or people of color are making a bigger deal about this than it actually is, rather than just facing the problem. And that's the thing. And that's victim blaming. That's all. She wore that shit. She deserved to get raped.
Yeah.
That's that victim blaming bullshit that we need to be done with in this country.
They've created this white grievance culture
Yes.
Because they want to feel like they are the ones who've been
want to be victimized.
Yeah, they want to be victims.
Want to become the victims now all of a sudden. Yeah.
And I have, I kind of follow a lot of different people on on different political spectrums. And I mean, the stuff that's coming out about this kid who freaking murdered 2 people, it is scary.
Yep.
It is. They see him as a white victim.
Yep.
When this guy killed people, he came out looking to kill people. That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And because it's about, those 2 people who, what was it, Missouri, they pulled out their guns because they saw people marching in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
They spoke at the RNC.
Exactly.
And they're just looking for the next white victim, right?
It's all coded language, Ibrahim. It's all coded language. It's all messages they're sending out to their white supremacist people who vote for them. And clearly there's a lot of them, if they feel the need to address them in their speeches, in their conversations, in their coded languages, and any person of any minority who shows up at that RNC and speaks, you're a traitor to your race, man. That's how I really feel about it. I don't care if you're a senator. I don't care if you're a fucking president. I don't care what you are. You're a traitor to your race when you do that.
You're a token. Yeah. You're a token. They don't care about black people. That's not what it's about. It's about white grievance culture.
They only care about the black people they can control or turn into subservient servants again, pseudo slaves again. That's the only black people they care about. So
I'll get off. Let me just there's been one last thing on the NBA. Sure. What can the NBA do? This has been floated. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
So people talked about like the NBA players or the NBA as an organization creating a PAC.
Yeah.
A political action committee organization that raises money. I think that would be very effective. I mean, just imagine if they said, hey, people in Wisconsin or Minnesota, if you don't do change, we have an organization that has $100 million, $200 million. Yeah. We will run ads against you.
Yeah.
Saying anything. If you tell a politician, I am going to raise millions of dollars against you, that's when you see change, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah. It is sad and again, Citizen United is one of the worst things that's happened in this country.
Yeah.
It has rotted our system. Like the fact that money comes in from all over the place and it's just corporate interests. Yeah. It's horrible. But this is a way that they could enact change in a positive way. Absolutely. By raising a ton of money and going, especially at the local level. If you tell someone, a local politician, I've raised $5 million against you if you vote against this, you see change.
Exactly. Money talks, bullshit walks. That's always been the thing in our country. But you need to have that white money flowing in behind the black causes who understand, because that's when you're going to see real change in the world, real change in this country. And I hope that's coming too. And seeing how many white players, I mean, the Detroit Lions players protesting practice in order to stand for that, in order to stand in unison with their fellow black players in protest against this shooting. That tells you that more and more white players are starting to see what is happening, and the new generations that are coming through are going to weed out that old fucking boys network once and for all. And then hopefully better changes coming in the generations coming forward. Hopefully, Ibrahim, as sad as this is to say, these very large spikes in violence or reactions, very strong violent reactions, are the last vestiges or the last desperate breaths of a dying attempt to control.
It's the death rattle of racism.
I hope so. But young men like you, Ibrahim, who are so knowledgeable about all of this stuff and are involved politically on it, I mean, you are our future, brother. You are the ones who are carrying the torch for those of us who fought when we were young as well. So I'm proud. I'm proud to meet you, man, and I'm proud that you watch the program and that you support anything I do, man. Much love to you, brother.
Yeah, I really appreciate all your work. And, by the way, can I just say one real quick curse word?
Sure.
Is that okay? Yeah. Fuck Collider. Fuck you guys. Fuck you for what you did to John Rocha and everyone. Fuck Collider.
I appreciate it.
The minute you guys got fired, I unsubbed and I've never looked at their trash content again. Trash.
Respect.
Fuck Collider.
I appreciate you being in support of me. Thank you so much, Ibrahim.
No worries. Take care.
Take care. Strong statements and a strong sentiment, and I respect he's got a right to say it. Freedom of speech. He's got a right to say what he feels. I appreciate that. JC Mighty coming on the Collider thing says, the Collider situation sucked, but I'm glad it brought you here. It's a good way to look at it. This black man from the U will always support Mr. Gravitas. Thank you, JC. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. I didn't mean to make things about it, but, it comes up in conversation as we're talking about things. So Jar of Snoke says, hell yes, John. Thank you for saying this. We need to become comfortable being uncomfortable. Yes, that's the only path to growth. Yes. All these white people go into these gurus and go into these self-help groups and go into these places to meditate and get in touch with themselves and blah, blah, blah. It's true change is when you're uncomfortable confronting the things that you've been doing, confronting the things that your country has been doing, confronting the things that your team has been doing, your owner has been doing, like Dan Snyder, that corrupt son of a bitch. Fuck that clown, and they should definitely take the team away from that fool after the new 25 women came forward with new allegations of sexual harassment. That's another thing. It isn't just the fight against or for people of color against racism. It's also the fight for women against misogyny and sexism inherent in these sports organizations as well. All that bullshit needs to stop. We are capable of better. And anyone who feels attacked by this, you need to take a look at yourself, because you might be feeling attacked because you feel guilty. You might be feeling attacked because you've done some shit and you don't want to confront it. That might be the reason you feel attacked. So you got to take a moment and look at yourself. Why do I feel attacked? What is happening that I'm feeling attacked? Why am I feeling attacked? If I'm a good person, I shouldn't feel attacked by this. But if you do feel attacked, take a good look at yourself. You might be surprised what you find. All right, see if I got any more Streamlabs that have rolled through here. Thank you all so much for the donations. It's very kind of you. Cinema Gorilla says, thank you for your art and passion, Outlaw. Your ancestors are so alive with you and saying what needs to be said to elevate all our people and allies. These issues have gone on for centuries. Thank you to the allies in the chat as well. Yes, thanks to all of you who are just being incredible with your comments and your chat today. I'm seeing it all as I roll through here, and I appreciate it. Thank you to the over 400 of you watching us live. If you can, if you don't mind, I know in other videos, because it's just entertainment stuff, I ask you this, but I hope I can ask you this here. Please hit that like button as well, the thumbs up button. I'd appreciate you all doing that, because what we're talking about here, if we get enough views on this and get enough likes on this, then it elevates it and puts it as a something to watch on the side of people as they're watching YouTube videos, as a suggested video for them to watch, and maybe they'll take a chance and watch this, and maybe they'll come away changed from our conversations or our interactions or your chat. Kyle Vernador says, I feel there is a way to improve, but when protests turn into hell and fires and looting, this hurts their cause and what they want to accomplish. Okay, once again, this idea of this hurts their cause, no, it doesn't. What it does is require you to understand them. They are not going to protest at your acceptable level. This bullshit that you need to go, well, you can protest, but I'd like you to protest like this, and then say this, and don't do this, and then be responsible and do this. You don't understand what it's like to have centuries of stories told and put into you as a young man or woman in this country, and hear about your uncle being racially profiled or beat up or shot, or your aunt enduring the racism that she's endured at work or from her friends, or wherever, or at a business, or going into a store and being followed by a security guard. That builds up. The anger builds up, the frustration, the fear. Even LeBron James saying, I fear this in my country as a black man. Doc Rivers says it, right? I'm tired of loving a country that doesn't love us back. Do you know how bad you have to push people to that point? And Doc Rivers has made a living in this country, a good living in this country. And what does he say? I just want to be a coach. But his activist heart won't let him because he loves his people that much. So when you step forward and say, oh, they burned the car, fuck their cause, that's on you. You have to push past seeing that and going, fuck their cause. What you have to do is, my God, how angry must they be? My God, what have we done to force or inspire or motivate people to express their anger in this way? Yes, people breaking into businesses and looting. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't respect those people at all, and I'm not trying to be racist about it. I just don't respect anybody. I don't care what color you are going into a business. That's not what the protest is about, and taking their items and whatever. That's not what the protest is about. If you set a car on fire, you overturn something. That's anger. That's frustration. We saw it in LA after the Rodney King verdict. That's anger. That's frustration. You want to get educated? Watch OJ Made in America. Watch all 7 parts of that documentary from ESPN, and then you'll understand why cars were overturned, why stuff was set on fire, why frustration built up and exploded. You can't keep stepping on a community and then when they lash out, go, you know what? You shouldn't have lashed out like that. I would have liked it if you lashed out and you lit maybe a trash can on fire. That would have been okay. You can't fucking do that. You can't. Mike says, Mike Doney said, Rocha, I love you, man. Fuck Fernandez. There you go. Do it for cash. Doney says, the NBA being in China serves as exposure to a league and players produced in a democratic society. It is definitely part of the influence in the Chinese struggle for democracy. That's why I have less problem with the NBA not being vocal about China. That's fair. Do it for cash. That's actually a fair point to throw in there, man. It's a interesting perspective to look at it. So I respect that. Absolutely, my man. Fillmore Pockets donated. Thank you, Fillmore. Let me see if I missed anybody's super chats here as I was going off here. Yeah, Delonte. Okay. Keep that fire burning. Yeah, ZB. I did read Sim. I did Soul Govin. I read. Yes, I said Delonte. Yes. Okay, good. Everybody, I want to make sure I got it. Please keep them coming if you want to send them in. Andrew Burnett just donated. He said the Brewers are playing in a doubleheader today to make up for the missed game last night. I think this is a bad move. I agree. You stood up for what's right last night. Don't go backwards today. Yeah, 1,000% agree. If any Milwaukee Brewer wants to step away from that game today, they should. It's ridiculous to play the game unless they're going to do massive protests during the game, maybe wear colors that say Black Lives Matter or the name they're on their colors, then I would say that's the way you go about it to raise awareness. And from what we're hearing or what I'm seeing on ESPN, this is from Wojo. He said NBA players have decided to resume the playoffs. Thursday's 3 playoff games will be postponed. A resumption of the season could come as soon as Friday, but there is expected to be a return to the play by the weekend, according to sources, after they held a meeting this morning at 8 a.m. Thursday's second meeting is to formulate action plans to address racial injustice issues as well as ironing out details of restarting the playoffs, according to a source. So there you go. That's the update at this point from what I see. LeBron James tweeted out, says, change doesn't happen with just talk. It happens with action. It needs to happen now. For my I Promise School kids and communities across the country, it's on us to make a difference together. That's why your vote is at more than a vote. Hashtag Black Lives Matter with a fist up. Let's see if there's anything else on an update on this. So, yeah, that's the deal right now as we go, in response to the Jacob Taylor shooting. So, Absent Good. Yo, what's up, man? What's up, dude? How you doing?
Hey, John. I don't keep you long because I know you got to go. I know the other show's starting. I just want to say thank you for doing this video.
Thank you.
It is hard to because I work from home as well, and I got a 15-year-old and I got a 8-year-old, and who's seen everything that goes on. It's trying. I remember when George Floyd and that happened, and my daughter don't know because we don't want to put so much on your kids, but somehow when another kid was showing my son and my daughter was there and she saw her, she's crying and it's hard to talk to your kids about something that you really shouldn't be talking about on how they should supposed to act when confronted a certain way or being put over and things like that. And it's hard. And sometimes it can be depressing, and it's hard how to talk to about your friends or not seeing people step up and stuff like that. And I want to thank you for that, but it is hard. And I've been watching the Milwaukee and what they've done, and I appreciate that. And I watched Stephen A. Smith, and he was saying that well, they're protesting, but are they ready for the ramifications because of money and things like that? And what's the answer? And I always said to myself, well, you have to do something first.
Yeah.
Then have a plan, and hopefully something will come out of that. So I'm liking the protesting, and they did say that they're finding ways to do something, to implement other things, and that's the first step. And I understand, some people don't have guaranteed contracts; they could lose money and stuff like that. But hopefully, you're going to have to take that leap for change, and and I appreciate what you're doing. And like I said, I love how outspoken you are and real. We met in Atlanta, and I'm the same way. I'm outspoken and I'm real, and I don't back down from nothing. And I'm always going to speak my mind. And if I say something wrong or I'm always going to man up to it and be like, okay, I apologize for that. So I appreciate what you're doing, but yeah, things happen now. It can be depressing at sometimes. What I do where I work at, they do things where they help us out. We community and talk to it. And one of my friends that's white that I met, he told me that he actually went and done things that our job is doing to really see. And he had an eye-opening thing. And he said, and he even apologized to me with things going on. And he said that he's with me, and I like that. That's what I want people to do, is just, instead of going so much of politics and your rights and freedom, how about you just go and look to if you have a friend or that somebody's of color, just go talk to them. Yes. And understand, nobody's trying to tread on you or anything like that. It's just people what's going on. And I don't want to keep you telling, I'm so sorry.
Dude, I appreciate what you're saying.
I'm trying not to be emotional because when I think about it and I think about my kids, it's hard,
of course,
so.
People don't understand. Dude, thank you so much for coming in. And I respect your pain, brother, man. I feel your pain and I respect your tears, dude. I know so many of my friends who have black kids. I mean, my best friend, Maurice, he's black. He was the city manager of Charlottesville when all that shit went down. He has his kids who are black. He worries about it all the time. It's real. And his kids are incredible. My heart would shatter in two if I heard something happen like this.
I live about an hour or so from Charlotte.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
I'm in Virginia. And I live not too far from that, and I live in the South, so I see people, they're outside every weekend with Confederate flags sitting out there, and my kids are looking. They'll be like, "What are they doing?" And I gotta tell them, "Well, they feel like that's their right." And I tell them, I see it every time, but I tell them, just don't be mean or conflict. Don't suit to that level. Be better.
Right.
So
Once again, the black man has to work harder, or the black person has to work harder to deal with the white racism, to deal with the white approach to the world. That's the truth. Fuck, man. It's so frustrating. Enough is enough already. We were meant to be better. I hope we get there, man.
And thank you for this. And like I said, you're an outspoken person. My name is Juan. I don't know if you know. I have to go. My name is Juan. Yeah. Juan Ricardo. I'm black and Puerto Rican. I respect both my heritage, and I respect you. That's why I follow you. And keep doing what you're doing. Collider did a thing. I watched you from there. They shouldn't have done it. This is ridiculous. But I'm glad you're doing your thing and your 2 million shows and what you're doing. And I try to support as much as I can. And I respect you. But thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it, brother. Good to see you again. It's been a bit. Good to see you, man. All right, there's Juan Ricardo stopping in. He used to come in the sports show when we would bring people in live, so it was good to see him again a bit. All right, I should wrap up because you got SCN live in about 4 minutes. So I just want to thank you all so much for taking the time to be with me this morning. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going to go, but I knew I needed to say something. I needed to talk about it with you all and hear from you all. And thank you all so much for having such an active chat. Thank you all for the Streamlabs and the super chat. I think one more came through. I want to make sure. Larry Evans, anyone has thought about taking the issues to the UN? Oh, I think that'd be great. I think that would be awesome to take the issue. I think Malcolm X was one of these people back in the 60s who did try to bring these issues or advocated bringing these issues of civil rights to the United Nations. I wonder if I thought Baldwin did as well, advocated that possibility. There's another thing. I think what Juan said is absolutely right. If you're a white person or a person of color even who's not black, have a conversation with a black friend of yours, a black coworker, a black friend, and ask them about their experience in this country. Maybe you'll get, oh, I'm cool. Nothing ever happened to me. But maybe you'll get that person who tells you about their experience. And you'll see it in their eyes how much that experience damaged them and affected them and changed them and how they fear for their family or their kids. That's real. And then realize how you don't have to do that. How you don't have to wake up and tell your kids or your family, you don't have to worry about them going out into the world and being shot or being pulled over because they, quote, had a description of someone that looked like this person. Or have your daughters lined up on the asphalt, face down on the ground as 4 grown adult cops and 1 female adult cop stands over them. Yeah. Mike says, vote November 3rd. Our voice will be heard. If they let us vote, I sure fucking hope so. If they let us vote, that's for goddamn sure. I sure hope so, man. Let me see if there's any other ones I missed. I don't want to miss anybody in here. Let me see if I've got anything. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I got everybody before I wrap up. All right. I love you all so much. Thank you for taking the time to be with me. Thank you for the over 400 of you all who watch this. It means a lot. I hope you can give it a like and give it some love. And I want to leave you with the words of one of my favorite people who ever played basketball, Chris Webber. I'm going to play this video of what he said. And I want that to sink in with you all and let you all feel that. And I will end the show after the video is done. So thank you all so much. Please follow me down below there at the Rocha Says. Subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like. And come and find me later on Blurs in the Hood. They're going to be over there at 12 p.m. doing a town hall meeting. I'm definitely going to stop in and have a conversation with my two brothers there, Jay Washington and Winston Marshall. They've asked me to. They were very kind to let me come in and hang out with them for a little bit to talk about this. So much love to all of you. Do the work to understand. And do more than just protest. Find how you can be a part of change in this country through the organizations, through voting, through supporting candidates who advocate for this kind of change, getting knowledgeable about these subjects, deeply knowledgeable about these subjects, as my man Ibrahim was. Get your education so that you can have conversations about this and change someone's point of view on this. All right. I'll see you all next time. To TNT, thank you to the Independent, thank you to the NBA, thank you to everyone who allowed me to use their videos for this program, whose videos I used in this program. I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching.